Okay, so sorry for any background noise. I'm sitting right by my window. I hope everybody is staying sane. I did put out a video. I'm not sure if anybody seen it, but I put out a video discussing my thoughts on COVID-19. So I'm kind of like a little depressed right now, man, because most places are closed. People are really losing their minds. I went to the store and tried to ask for change. Tried to ask them if they could split a $20 bill, and they expressed extreme concern with with exchanging money. So I was like, oh my god. So I'm having a rough time right now. But the one thing I can say that is keeping me grounded and keeping me sane, even though people have their thoughts on whether or not it's even worth it, is sports. Sports has been keeping me together. But I haven't been watching much of the NFL free agency. I've seen a couple of moves here and there. I'm not really keeping a close eye on the rumors. I'm not keeping a close eye on who's talking to who's having meetings with who. So I don't really know much. But I did see a video of the Cowboys making some moves. One of those moves being Dontari Poe, who has been somewhat of a disappointment since coming into the league. I believe he's a former LSU Tiger. I could be wrong. Do not quote me on it. But I believe he was a former LSU Tiger. And he's a former LSU Tiger. And I wouldn't say it's a great move. I wouldn't say that it's going to, compensate for the Robert Quinn release or with them letting them go. But it's a solid move. It's a stagnant move. It's a move where you're not really moving. You're just sitting in the same spot. Also, they got Greg Zuerlein. Greg Zuerlein, like around 2012, 2013, somewhere around there, when he first got into the league, or it might have been 2013, 14, somewhere. When he got into the league, Greg Zuerlein was one of the hottest kickers in the NFL because, this dude was. They called him Legatron for a reason, man. This dude was kicking it all over the place, man. I thought he was the best kicker in the NFL that year. I believed he was the best kicker. And then after that season, the hype around him started to die down a little bit more. And then Blair Walsh came into the picture, and Blair Walsh was viewed as the best kicker. So, kickers tend to die out. They tend to fizzle out. And right now, kickers are having a really hard time with getting the job done. Kickers are missing a lot more extra points. They're missing a lot more field goals. Kickers are being released mid-season, multiple kickers from just one team. Multiple kickers. They're bringing in different kickers, trying to find one that can get the job done consistently. If you have a kicker that can, out of 4 field goals a game, can get you at least 3, you are in a great spot because kickers are just falling all over the place. And I think it's going to destroy the NFL. And I'm not exaggerating. It's going to destroy the NFL if a kicker comes into the league and he kicks around 90-95% for the season as far as, I'm going to go 95% or somewhere around there. 95% for extra points. And if he can at least make like 85 to 90% of his field goals, he would be the most the most coveted the most coveted kicker I've seen because kickers are missing so much. If a kicker would come in with consistent kicking ability, I think that teams would trample each other just to get to him. But the video is not about Greg Zuerlein, even though I have some thoughts on him. It's about Dak Prescott and whether or not Dak Prescott is worth the money. Now, these are my thoughts on whether or not a player is worth the contract that they sign. If a team is comfortable with paying a player a certain amount of money, who are we to say that player is not worth it? We are no one to say that player is not worth it. If the team feels like we need to pay this guy this much, he's worth it. Even if it changes, man, because worth changes all the time. Even when you look at relationships, man, you put values on people, whether it's intimate relationships, whether it's friends, whether it's family. Sorry. You put a value on each relationship you have, and judging on your interactions with those people, it may change. And a player's value may change to the organization. If they pay you $60 million in your contract, next year that value may go down or go up. Who knows, man? I mean, but when we look at Dak Prescott, we know the quarterbacks in the NFL, when you give them a contract, you like, you know what? I can see why. Dak Prescott is not that guy. Even though people say he's a great quarterback, even though people say that he's, he's better than Carson Wentz, there's too many question marks surrounding Dak Prescott and whether or not it'll be worth it to pay him Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson type money. I mean, is he the guy? Is he going to win you a Super Bowl? That's the question. Because it looks like he's having a hard time just making the playoffs as the leader of the team. So, let's hear what they have to say.
I'm looking at what you've gotten. What have you got to replace what you lost? I'm looking for that. I'm looking for the Byron Jones replacement and the Randall Cobb and the Quinn and the Frederick. Where are those? But all those signings that you just signed, Skip, the Don Poe and the Zerline and this one, those are appetizers. You know what this is. This is all about that entree. Dak Prescott. And until you get him signed, sealed, and delivered, nothing else matters. Because it looks like that exclusive tag is under $30 million now. And you and I both know Dak ain't playing for under no $30 million. So something goes that.
But who the fuck is Dak Prescott? Okay, now look, when Dak came into the league, I'm pretty sure people had low expectations for him. I mean, with him being a third-round pick, nobody expected him to beat out Tony Romo in his first year, help the team get to 13-3, and make the playoffs. Nobody expected that to happen. Sure. But when Ezekiel Elliott went down for the first 6 games his second year, and it was dependent on Dak to get the job done, he failed. He failed horribly. He looked bad, and that's when the question started. If Dak wouldn't have had as bad of a second season as he had, I don't think that people would be questioning him as much as they are now. Because the question now is he good enough? Is he worth paying a quarterback a crap load of money, taking away resources from other positions on the field because we believe this quarterback can get us to a Super Bowl? Is Dak that guy? That's the question. And this is the question that I'm pretty sure Skip has. I'm pretty sure you know what, I'm not even going to say that because I think Skip wants all the great players to play for the Cowboys, but he also wants them to take massive pay cuts. He wants everybody to take massive pay cuts. But if I'm a Cowboys fan, I'm looking at it from, if we pay him $35 million, $40 million a year in a 5-year contract, is he worth that? Can we depend on him to get us to a championship? And that's the question. Because Dak is good for getting you to the playoffs, keeping you in playoff races. He's good for, not making too many terrible mistakes. He's good at that. Dak is really good at that. But he's not the guy that's going to go out there and make the crucial play in the biggest game in the playoffs. I don't know if he's that guy. Now, I could be wrong, man. Things change. You never know. But right now, he's not that guy. And I don't know if he should be demanding $40 million and expecting the Cowboys to just pony up. At this point, if I'm Jerry Jones, I'm holding court. I'm not doing nothing. I'm not doing anything. I'm not paying him anything. I am going to keep the tag on. If he doesn't play, if I'm the Cowboys, just trade him. Just trade him. The Cowboys went a long time without a quarterback before. I'm pretty sure that if it's Dak Prescott or some unknown rookie that they draft, I'm pretty sure this season isn't going to make much of a difference because I don't see Dak being that guy that's going to get this team to 12 wins and get them to a Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm just saying I don't see him doing it. But we'll see.
This whole plan coming together right nicely. Yeah, they're playing coming together right nicely. Right nicely.
Good. Okay, my turn. Let's start with the latest acquisition, which was Greg the Leg, as in Greg Zuerlein. I fell off my chair on Friday afternoon that the Cowboys had gone out and gotten a guy who was a top 5 kicker until last year.
Yeah, he was a top 5 kicker like 5 or 6 years ago. Who has been, I forgot he was even in the league like 3 years ago. Like, I was like, I heard Greg Zuerlein's name. I was like, oh my God, he's still playing? Because he didn't have the hype surrounding him like he did his rookie year. And I was still surprised he was still on the Rams. This is how invisible this dude has been. Like, sometimes you know, even if you're not a fan of a team, sometimes you know who their kickers are. Just sometimes you know. Like, I can give you at least 10 to 15 teams in the NFL right now who I don't watch them play, but I know who their kickers are. There was a long time I didn't even know who the Rams kicker was, and I found out, oh, Greg Zuerlein is still playing. He has been invisible. He has been one of those kickers. A lot of kickers have been bad. A lot of dependable kickers. Greg Zuerlein, Blair Walsh, Steven Gostkowski. I mean, the only one that seems to be defying this trend of kickers playing horribly is Justin Tucker. He's the only one that seems to be, pretty much staying away from the inconsistency that is plaguing the rest of the kickers.
But he had a bad year by his standards, but he was a top 5 kicker, and he's definitely got like a top 2 leg. And all of a sudden, they had...
I don't know about that. I don't know if he still has that crazy-ass kicking power that he did before. I don't know. He's not kicking 55, 60-yarders anymore, so I'm not sure, bro. I'm not sure.
Just re-signed Kai Forbath, who I thought was pretty good the last couple of games last year, and they had an opening, an opportunity to say, let's go upgrade even more, because as you talked about, John Bones Fossil says, hey, I love this kid, and I can get him back on track this year in Dallas. He just needs a change of scenery. Shannon Sharp, I'm going to remind you that a guy I used to call Brett the Fret, as in Brett Maher, last year.
I'm sorry. I believe he was talking about the change of scenery thing with Greg Zuerlein. I hate when people say that. And I'm not saying that a different environment doesn't breed different results. But most of the time when you're having issues, like, I'm just going to keep it in the realm of football. When you're having issues on the team, when you're playing a certain way that's not productive or conducive to winning, that doesn't mean sending you to a different team is going to make you play better. Now, I'm not saying that you don't feel rejuvenated in some way and you do start to play better, but most of the time that falls on the player. It's a mental thing. This is why I say, man, sports is like a huge percentage of it is mental. And if you can overcome the mental barrier, you can pretty much own the game. Some of the greatest athletes in the history of any professional sport mentally was able to overcome that mental barrier. But I don't think that sending a player from one place to another automatically increases their productivity. Oh, all he needs is just to be in a different place. If that was the case, I can't even go with a hypothetical, man. I just don't believe that there's any facts. Look, Greg Zuerlein, if he plays better, it could be because the coaching is better, or maybe he just really wanted to get off the Rams. Who knows? But if he doesn't, I mean, is a change of scenery really necessary for an average player to play better? I mean, is that the case? Because I'm not sure. I mean, you know what? And you know who you could attach that to, and it would almost be factual, is Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick has to be the most inconsistent quarterback I've ever seen. He played on the Bills, and he played unbelievably high. And then he slowly started to descend into averageness. And then he goes to a different team, the Buccaneers, and his play is really high again. His play is really high. And then it slowly starts to descend again. And then he gets to Miami, and he starts off a little slow, but then he goes crazy. And if they start him this year, which I don't think they will, I think they're going to draft a quarterback. But if they do wind up starting him this year, I think he's going to slowly start to descend from last year where he was. But if you could attach that to anybody, Ryan Fitzpatrick would be the perfect player.
Was by any measure the worst kicker in all of football. By any measure, the worst kicker in football, because even from the 40 to the 49, which last year the average for NFL kickers from 40 to 49 was almost 75%. My guy, Brett the Frat, went 1 for 5. At one stretch, he missed 10 field goals in 11 weeks. He missed 2 field goals, as you recall, against the Packers. And if he hadn't missed the last one...
I'm sorry, that was a weird... I'm going to go back a little bit, but that was a weird stat that he just pulled out. He said between the 40 to 49-yard line that Brett Maher, however you say his name, Brett Maher only kicked 5 field goals all year, and he missed 4 of them. That's such a weird stat. Like... I thought that was like average. Like between the 35 and the 45, that's the average range of field goals. Like to only kick 5 40-yard field goals all year is kind of weird, bro. Like I just never seen it before. But okay.
9, which last year the average for NFL kickers from 40 to 49 was almost 75%. My guy Brett the Frat went 1 for 5. At one stretch, he missed 10 field goals in 11 weeks. He missed 2 field goals, as you recall, against the Packers. And if he hadn't missed the last one, at least they would have had an onside kick for a desperation attempt at tying the score. Then he missed a field goal at the Jets when they lost by 2, as you recall. He missed a field goal against the Vikings when they wound up losing by 4. He missed 2 field goals against the Bills. He missed a field goal at Chicago. I could go on, but I can add it up for you by saying that if they had had a hot field goal kicker last year, I believe it would have been the difference in 10 and 6. They went 8 and 8. But if you give me a hot kicker, a guy who can make all 5 from 40 to 49, which is not a big ask, they just might have gone 10 and 6 last year, and we'd be having a whole different conversation. So,
is there a kicker that can consistently kick from 40 yards out? Is there a kicker in the league that can do that now? I mean, besides Justin Tucker, who is... I'm not even going to say he's super consistent, but he's more consistent than anybody else that I've seen. Is there a kicker out there that can consistently, year after year, nail it? At least 85 to 95% between the, in the 40-yard range. Is there a kicker that can consistently do that now? Because, I don't know. I don't think so. I think, yeah, Brett Maher's stats are probably really bad, but I don't think there's a kicker in the league right now that you can trust. To be honest, I think the kicking position, which was the most dependable position, because if you had a really good kicker, you had a really good kicker, and you know what you're going to get. But now it's like you don't know what you're going to get. You might have a kicker that can go 6 for 6, kicking it all over the field to the next game, missing 5 fourth quarter kicks. Like, it may happen. Like, you just don't know now.
You know how much I hate field goal kicking because it has way too much impact on the scoreboard. But I also have told you, if I were an NFL owner, I'd pay whatever it took to get Adam Vinatieri because it changes games and seasons. And they just went and got Legatron, Greg the Leg.
I'm going to say this, man, and I've been watching New England for a long time. Adam Vinatieri is a great kicker. He's a great clutch kicker. Well, he used to be. But Adam Vinatieri has been middling for like the last 10 years. Just middling. He's not even up in the upper echelon. He's just middling. He's been middling for the last 10 years. You haven't seen terrible games from him. You haven't seen super great games from him. He's just been middling the entire way. And I think And I think although Adam Vinatieri, and people like to give Adam Vinatieri a little bit too much credit for those Super Bowl kicks, man. Because if it wasn't for Brady, if it wasn't for Manning, I don't think he'd be in position to win those Super Bowls. I mean, people act like Adam Vinatieri goes out there, throws passes, then runs down the field to catch the pass, and also hands the ball off to himself to run for like 10 yards. He's also blocking for himself. They act like he is pivotal in those games. Now, game-winning kicks are pretty much life and death in the NFL. They are pretty much life and death. But I wouldn't go as far as to say that he was the reason they won those games. Man, people like to go there because without great quarterbacks, Adam Vinatieri has been fairly average.
And if he bounces back next year, he's going to be way, way better than Brett the Fret. And I could not believe that Coach Clapp, as in Jason Garrett, hung on to Brett the Fret all the way through all those losses.
Let me find out Skip just made an STD joke. Like, what the hell? Who the fuck? I've never heard anybody call Jason Garrett Mr. Clapp. What the hell?
All the way through the Chicago game before they finally said, okay, we've seen enough. Your thoughts?
Oh, my goodness. See, Skip, now you know good and well Jason Garrett didn't have that kind of pull. That was Jerry. Jerry didn't want to make any changes. And what was going on with Brett Maher, he can make field goals as long as there was no pressure. Skip, you remember he kicked the 62, 63-yarder right before the half? Yeah. There's no pressure on that. Yeah. But when we need those in the fourth quarter or you need those late in the third quarter, that's when all of a sudden it was wide right, it was wide left, and sometimes the ball was barely getting over the offensive over the line's head. Look, but you still, okay, I get Zuerlein. If he can return to form, he's an upgrade. But what have you done to replace what went out the door?
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's talk about that. They have made bargain basement deals for Dontari Poe, as you talked about. He's what, 300, and I don't know what he weighs, 350 maybe? And I'm not sure if they're going to mix and match 3-4-4-3 because they do have Gerald McCoy, who was another bargain basement signing. So now you have two strong elephants for the middle of that line, and maybe it will shore up the run defense.
No. And Dontari Poe has his moments. Over the past few years, he's had his moments. But no, you're not... What? You think you're going to be, what, Warren Sapp, bro? Like, no, he's not doing anything. This was a Band-Aid, man. This was a Band-Aid to fix a deep cut, man. No. He's not fixing nothing. I'm sorry. Dontari Poe had his time to be a great player. Dontari Poe had his time to be an effective player. And if he had that time, it has passed. Okay? This is just a Band-Aid, man.
Next year, so that DeMarcus Lawrence can get a little more quick start off the edge and not have to worry so much about getting gashed with the run. Maybe Randy Gregory will finally get reinstated. And I remind you, last time we saw him, what did he have?
They are still holding on to Randy Gregory, bro. They got to let him go, man. Randy Gregory was drafted, 4 years ago? Like, this dude has yet to play. I haven't seen him play yet in a regular season. They got to let him go, man. Y'all investing way too much into a guy that can't stay on the field, man. Or can't stay activated. They got to let him go.
4 sacks in 6 games. He can play off the edge. He can flash off the edge. And it sounds like he's got a shot under the new CBA to get reinstated because, as you know, they're not suspending for positive marijuana tests anymore. So that could be very good news. And then, again, Byron Jones, I just never loved him because he never made plays on the ball. He had 2 interceptions in 5 years.
Interceptions aren't everything. Interceptions are great. Look at Marcus Peters. Marcus Peters was a ball hawk. But they wasn't winning with that guy. They wasn't winning with him. And a lot of times when you get these ball hawk or cornerbacks, they gamble too much. Sometimes you need a smart corner. Look at Stephon Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore is not a guy that's going to gamble. He's not a guy that's going to go out of his way to try to pick the ball off by leaving his man wide open. He's going to stay on his guy. He's going to defend the pass, and he's going to knock it down if he needs to. Sometimes Byron Jones is a great cornerback. Sometimes you need a corner that's going to stop the catch. That's it. You just need him to separate the receiver from the ball. That's it. You don't need him to pick it off every single. Like, it seems like he wants Byron Jones to have 10 to 15 picks a year. Like, it's not going to happen, bro. He is a solid corner at preventing the receiver from catching the ball. He is a solid corner. I mean, dude made the Pro Bowl, man. Like, what more do you want, bro? Like, it's like for Skip, man. And I noticed this for Skip, when players play great, and when his team is winning, he loves everything about what everybody's doing. When his team is not winning, but players are still playing great, he nitpicks what they're doing. He nitpicks. Byron Jones is a great cornerback. I'm pretty sure there are a bunch of teams in the NFL, if not every team in the NFL, that would love to have this guy on their team. It seems like Skip is the only one that doesn't give a shit. Like, I don't get it, man.
So am I just losing sleep over him? Well, they re-signed Anthony Brown, so maybe he.
You know what? I'm rooting for Byron Jones next year, man. I want Byron Jones to go off. I want him to go crazy in Miami. Just so I can see Skip face, man. So I can see Skip face when he has to say, well, Byron Jones just had a game-winning pick 6 again today. Like, I just want to see it. So bad I want to see it. Because this is crazy, man. Byron Jones is a solid corner who makes the right plays, who seems to make the right plays. But because he's not a turnover machine, like, it's so crazy.
Could start at corner, Jordan Lewis at the slot corner. They still got Awuzie, but maybe they draft a corner that could start for them. Maybe they'll be the first pick in that they make in the first round. And then, you know, the reason they're... Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Skip, I'll give you that. Byron Jones is not a guy that takes the ball away, but he still was their best secondary presence. Robert Quinn was their best defensive lineman, and you haven't replaced it.
Okay. He was their best pass rusher. I'll give you that. But the guy who should have been their best pass rusher was the $100 million man who did not live up last year. I don't know. If he gets his fire relit, we had him on Undisputed at the Super Bowl, he's a top 5 pass rusher. I got to see that next year. Maybe a coaching change. Maybe he'll have a new change of mind.
I'm not going to finish this video. This is it because, you know, at this point they're pretty much going in circles. But I'm going to say this. I would love for Shannon one day to say, all right, you want them to get better here. You want them to get better there. How are they going to do that if they pay? Well, you know what? Shannon's not going to say that crap. All right, so just forget what I said right there. I got the people mixed up. My argument was for Skip, but really it was Shannon has that point of view that you should pay Dak. They're not. All right, let me just say it from my perspective. They're not going to get better. Skip wants them to get better at certain positions. Shannon wants them to pay Dak all that money. There's no way the Cowboys will win if they pay Dak $35 to $40 million a year. There's no way that's going to happen. Because you're taking a huge chunk of the salary cap and you're paying a guy who, if you pay him, you're going to have to depend on this dude for the next 5 years to win for you. Do you trust him enough to do that? I don't think Jerry Jones does. And I think that's the problem that's coming in. I think he likes Dak. I don't think he loves Dak in that way that he thinks Dak can get the job done. But we'll see, I guess. I'm already up to 28 minutes, 29 minutes, I guess. All right, man. Everybody stay safe out there, I guess. All right.